The blade stopped a hair's width from my throat. I didn't move. Couldn't move. The alien warrior holding it had 4 arms, chitinous armor that gleamed like obsidian, and compound eyes that reflected my face 1,000 times over. Behind her, the throne room stretched into shadows, pillars carved from some dark mineral I'd never seen before, and on the throne itself, she sat motionless, draped in what looked like living silk that shifted colors with each breath. Her crown wasn't metal, but something organic, growing from her skull like crystalline branches. Beautiful, terrifying. Her 6 eyes were fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. "Identify yourself, human." The guard's translator rendered her voice flat, mechanical. But I heard the tension underneath. "Commander James Halkett?" I said, keeping my voice steady. "United Earth Defense Force, serial number..." The Queen's translator was different, smoother, almost hypnotic. "The question is what you are." I was a pilot. My ship had been shot down 3 days ago during a skirmish near the Kepler Belt. I'd ejected, gotten picked up by this cruiser, and now I was here, prisoner of war. Standard procedure would be interrogation, imprisonment, maybe execution depending on how the war was going. But this wasn't standard procedure. The Queen rose. 7 feet tall, maybe more. Her movement was liquid grace, predatory. She descended the steps toward me, and every guard in the room tensed. I counted 12 of them, all armed with those curved blades and what looked like plasma rifles. All watching their queen with something that looked like concern. "Your Radiance," one of them said. "Protocol dictates silence." The Queen didn't raise her voice. Didn't need to. The guard fell silent immediately. She stopped 5 feet away. Close enough that I could see the patterns in her exoskeleton, intricate as lace. Close enough that I could smell something sweet and strange, like ozone and honey. "Show me your hands," she said. The blade was still near my throat. "Now." Standard surrender position. The Queen stared at them for a long moment, her 6 eyes moving independently, studying every finger, every line. Then she did something I didn't expect. She stepped back. Just 1 step, but it was retreat. Her guards noticed. I saw weapons shift, grips tighten. "When were you born?" the Queen asked. "April 14th, 2247. What star were you born under?" What? "Earth. Sol system. A planetary alignment?" I had no idea what she was talking about. "I don't understand the question." The Queen's mandibles clicked together, a sound like bones snapping. "The scars on your left hand. How did you get them?" 3 white lines across my palm, barely visible. "Childhood accident. Broken glass. I was 7. "Which hand do you write with?" "Right. Which hand do you fight with?" "Right. Which hand do you fight with?" "Both, but I favor..." Instead, she stood at its base, one hand gripping the armrest like she needed the support. "Your Radiance." A different guard this time, her voice urgent. "If he is what you fear, then we are already lost." The Queen's voice was barely a whisper, but it carried through the chamber. "Summon the council."
"Immediately."
"And bring the archives." "All of them. The complete archives?" The guard sounded shocked. "Your Radiance. It has been 3 generations since..." "Do it." The others maintained their positions around me, weapons ready, but they weren't watching me anymore. They were watching their Queen. I'd been in combat for 6 years. I'd learned to read body language, to sense when something was wrong. Right now, everything was wrong. These warriors were afraid. And not of me. A lone human prisoner with no weapons, no armor, nothing but a torn flight suit and dehydration headache. They were afraid because their Queen was afraid. "Commander Halkett," she still hadn't turned to face me. "In your culture, do you believe in prophecy? Destiny? Cosmic significance?" "Not really." "Neither do I." Now she turned and her expression was unreadable, which makes what I am about to tell you all the more terrible. 1,500 years ago, before my species reached the stars, before we knew Earth existed, before humans had even invented writing, our greatest oracle made a prediction. She carved it into the foundation stone of our first empire. She died completing it, burned out her own mind to see far enough into the future to give us this one warning. The Queen descended the steps again, and this time she didn't stop until she was close enough to touch me. She said that one day a being would come before the throne. A being with hands that bore the mark of the undoing. A being who would speak truth without knowing it, who would carry destruction without wielding it. and when that being arrived, it would mean the end of everything we had built. She lifted one of her own hands, long fingers, deadly claws, and held it near mine without touching. The mark of the undoing is not a scar, Commander Halkett. It is a pattern, a specific arrangement of lines on the left palm, combined with right-hand dominance, born on a specific celestial alignment that our astronomers calculated would occur exactly when and where you say you were born. I stared at my hand. Just scars from broken glass. Nothing special. I have studied that prophecy my entire life, the Queen continued. I memorized every word, every detail, hoping it was myth, hoping that when the time came, I would recognize the signs and prevent catastrophe. Instead, I find myself face to face with you, and every detail matches perfectly. All 6 of her eyes simultaneously? So tell me, Commander James Halkett of Earth, what are you going to destroy? My empire? My species? Everything? I opened my mouth to answer, but before I could speak, an explosion rocked the entire ship. Alarm screamed. The lights flickered. Through the massive viewports along one wall, I saw flames blooming in the black of space. Debris, atmosphere, bodies spinning out into the void. Report. The Queen's voice cracked like a whip. A guard rushed in, her armor scorched. The detention level. Complete breach. Prisoners are loose, and they've reached the armory. We're detecting weapon signatures that shouldn't exist on this vessel. Unauthorized tech. Earth tech. I looked back. I didn't do this, I said. I've been in this room the whole time. I know. Her voice was hollow. But they came here because of you. Didn't they? And I realized with sinking certainty that she was right. The rescue team I'd assumed was impossible. The backup I'd stopped hoping for days ago. They'd come for me. And they'd just started a massacre on a ship carrying 10,000 souls. The Oracle had been right about one thing. I was going to destroy everything. The guard captain's name was Scarith. She moved like liquid death, all 4 arms coordinating in perfect synchronization as she barked orders. Seal sectors 9 through 14. Vent the corridors if you have to. I want those humans contained. Belay that. The Queen's voice cut through the chaos. Every head in the room turned toward her. No venting. No mass casualties. We evacuate civilians first. Your Radiants. They're armed with kinetic weapons. They've already killed... I heard the report, Captain. The Queen's mandibles were tight. How many? 17 dead. 23 injured. Numbers rising. I felt sick. 17. My people had killed 17 of hers in, 5 minutes? This was supposed to be a rescue, not a bloodbath. How many humans are there? I asked. Scarth's compound eyes fixed on me. You don't know? I've been your prisoner for 3 days. I don't know anything. The Queen made a sound like grinding metal. Captain, answer him. Sensors indicate 12 human signatures. All armed. They're moving toward the command deck. Scarth paused. Toward this location. 12 soldiers against thousands of Elkari warriors. They had to know this was suicide. Unless... What kind of weapons are they carrying? I asked. Answer him, the Queen said again. Scarth's reluctance was palpable, but she complied. Plasma rifles, fusion grenades, and something our sensors can't identify. The energy signature is irregular. Contained but unstable. Describe the signature. Fluctuating between 3 and 4 gigajoules, contained in cylindrical housings, approximately 1 meter in length. Christ. The word escaped before I could stop it. They brought breaching charges. Nuclear breaching charges. Explained, the Queen said quietly. They're designed to cut through ship hulls. Last resort equipment for boarding actions against heavily fortified vessels. If they detonate those inside the ship. I didn't finish. Didn't need to. The Queen turned to Scarith. Estimated blast radius? Half the ship? Maybe more, depending on placement. They wouldn't. But even as I said it, I knew better. 12 soldiers against impossible odds, trying to extract a high-value prisoner from deep inside enemy territory. They absolutely would use whatever they had to complete the mission, even if it meant taking the whole ship down. Your Radiance, a younger guard approached, moving fast. The Council has assembled. They're demanding to know, tell them to evacuate, immediately. Use the royal escape pods if necessary. But the prophecy is the least of our concerns if this vessel becomes a nuclear fireball. The Queen's voice was ice. She turned to me. Can you stop them? They came here for you. Contact them. Tell them to stand down. I don't have a comm unit. Your people took everything. Scareth gestured sharply. One of her subordinates rushed forward with a small device. Standard Earth frequency communicator. We pulled it from your survival kit. I took it, surprised they'd kept it functional. Pressed the activation stud. This is Commander Halkett to any UEDF forces. Respond.
Static, then Commander?
Holy shit, you're alive. Sergeant Chen here. We're 3 levels down and closing on your position. ETA 4 minutes. Chen, a good soldier. Absolutely ruthless when the situation called for it. Sergeant, you need to abort.
Pause, sir?
Abort the rescue attempt and surrender to Valkyrie authorities. Commander, I don't think you understand the situation. I understand perfectly, Sergeant. You've got nuclear breaching charges and 12 very motivated soldiers. What you don't have is any chance of success. This ship has 10,000 people on it.
Stand down. Another pause, longer this time.
When Chen spoke again, his voice was tight. Sir, Command sent us to retrieve you.
They were very clear about priorities.
What priorities? Your designated Fallen Star Protocol, Commander? Do you know what that means? Fallen Star was reserved for personnel carrying classified information that absolutely could not fall into enemy hands. Information worth dying for. Worth killing for. But I wasn't carrying any such information. I was just a pilot. I'm not... What's the secondary objective? Denial of asset. If we can't extract you, we make sure the enemy can't use you either. She'd heard every word. How long do I have? I asked quietly. 3 minutes until we reach your position. After that, it gets complicated. The Queen stood motionless, waiting. They'll kill me if I don't go with them, I said. Standard protocol for sensitive intel. Can't risk interrogation, torture, information extraction. But you told me you carry no secrets. But apparently Command thinks differently. I looked at the device in my hand. 3 minutes. Your Radiance, I need to ask you something. That prophecy, it said I would destroy your empire. Did it say how? No. Only that destruction would follow in your wake. Everything we built would fall. Not because I planned it. That is the nature of prophecy, Commander. Context is rarely provided. Thought about that. Thought about Chen and his team fighting their way through the ship. Thought about the nuclear charges that could tear this vessel apart. Thought about the Queen standing before me, afraid not because of who I was, but because of what ancient words carved in stone said I represented. I have an idea, I said, but you're really not going to like it. Tell me. The prophecy said I would destroy your empire. It didn't say anything about your people surviving that destruction, did it? No, it didn't. Then maybe the answer isn't to prevent the prophecy. Maybe it's to control how it happens. Scareth moved forward, weapons raised. Your Radiance, if he's suggesting. Let him speak, the Queen said. I chose my words carefully. Your empire, your government, your military structure, your territorial claims. All of that is built on strength, on the idea that the Valkyrie are the dominant force in this sector. Right? What would happen if the entire galaxy watched your flagship get destroyed by a handful of human soldiers? What would happen to that dominance? The Queen's expression was unreadable. It would shatter. Every species we've subjugated would rebel. Every alliance would dissolve. The Empire would collapse within weeks. Exactly. Everything you've built, gone. And you're suggesting we allow this? I'm suggesting you orchestrate it. I moved closer, ignoring the weapons tracking my movement. You evacuate your people. Every last one. You make it look like a desperate measure, like we forced your hand. Then you let my team and I escape. The charges go off. Your flagship is destroyed. The Empire falls. Why would I ever agree to such madness? Because empires can be rebuilt. People can't. You save 10,000 lives today and rebuild tomorrow on a different foundation. One based on something other than fear and conquest. The Queen stared at me for a long moment. You realize what you're asking. The end of everything my ancestors worked for. Everything I've dedicated my life to preserving. I know. But the alternative is those lives get vaporized in 3 minutes and the Empire falls anyway. At least this way you control the narrative. At least this way you choose how it ends. Your Radiance. Scareth's voice was strained. He's manipulating you. This is exactly what the prophecy warned about. Is it? The Queen's gaze never left my face. Or is this the path that was always meant to be? The destruction that leads to something better? Alarm shrieked louder. The lights flickered again. 2 minutes! Chen's voice crackled over the comm. "Commander, we're encountering heavy resistance. If you have a plan, now would be the time." Captain Scarith. "Begin immediate evacuation protocols. All personnel to escape pods. Priority Alpha." "That is an order." The Queen's voice carried absolute authority. "Evacuate the ship. Now." Then she saluted with all four arms and began barking commands. The throne room exploded into controlled chaos. Guards rushed out, coordinating the evacuation. Somewhere in the distance, I heard the wail of evacuation sirens joining the alarm symphony. The Queen moved to a wall panel and entered a long sequence. "I'm unlocking the path from your current location to the command deck. Tell your soldiers they have a clear corridor. No resistance." I raised the comm. "Stand down all hostile action. You have safe passage to the throne room." "Just get here?" "Fast." I lowered the device. The Queen was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "The prophecy was right," she said softly. "You will destroy everything we built. But perhaps destruction is not always the enemy. Perhaps sometimes it is merely transformation." "I hope you're right." "So do I, Commander Halkett. Because if you're wrong, I've just committed the greatest act of treason in Valkyrie history." Footsteps echoed in the corridor outside, heavy boots on metal deck plating. Chen and his team appeared in the doorway, weapons ready, faces hidden behind tactical helmets. Chen saw me and lowered his rifle slightly. "Commander, you all right?" "I'm fine, Sergeant. The Queen has granted us safe passage off the ship." "The Queen?" Chen's helmet turned toward the throne. "Sir, what's going on?" "A change of plans. We're evacuating with the civilian population. No casualties. No explosions. We walk out of here peacefully. Sir, our orders are now my orders, Sergeant. And I'm telling you to stand down. We're leaving. Everyone's leaving. This ship gets destroyed, but nobody dies." Chen was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "Understood, sir. Orders received. The escape pods are that direction. My people will be using the starboard bays. You'll take the port side. The pods are programmed to rendezvous with both our fleet and yours. From there, what happens is beyond my control." "Thank you," I said. "Don't thank me yet, Commander. You've set in motion something that cannot be stopped. The consequences will be catastrophic, but everyone lives. Everyone lives." She paused. "Tell me something. Do you believe the prophecy was real? That this was always meant to happen? About the scars on my hand, the impossible timing of my birth, the chain of events that led me here, about 1,500 years of fear based on words carved by a dying oracle?" "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I think maybe prophecies work because people believe in them. Because they shape their actions around them. You could have killed me the moment I arrived. Instead, you talked to me, listened to me, made a choice that fulfills the prophecy, or a choice that gives your people a future. Perspective matters. The Queen's mandibles formed what might have been a smile. Perhaps you're right. Go, Commander. Take your soldiers and leave. I have an empire to destroy." I saluted her. She returned it with a gesture I didn't recognize but somehow understood. Then Shen was pulling me toward the corridor and we were running, following the flood of Valkyrie civilians toward the escape pods. All around us the ship groaned and shuddered. Somewhere far below I heard explosions, controlled demolitions, scuttling charges. The Queen was making sure the destruction would be complete. We reached the pod bay. 12 humans among hundreds of aliens all rushing toward the same goal, survival. I climbed into a pod with Chen and 3 others. The hatch sealed. Through the viewport I saw the Queen's flagship proceeding as we launched. And then it happened. The entire vessel erupted in light. Not nuclear fire. I'd been wrong about that. The Queen had used her own charges, placed strategically to tear the ship apart without the radiation. Controlled. Deliberate. Beautiful in its terrible way. Chen whistled low. "The brass is going to love this. The brass is going to court-martial me," I said. "Maybe, but you saved a lot of lives today, sir. That has to count for something." I watched the debris scatter across the stars. Pieces of an empire burning away into nothing. Somewhere out there, in one of the other pods, the Queen was watching the same sight. Watching everything she'd known dissolve into the black. But she was alive. Her people were alive, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough. The prophecy had come true. I had destroyed the Valkyrie Empire. But I'd helped them survive it, and somehow that felt like the most human thing I could have done.